Well, good afternoon, everybody. During the summer years, when I was growing up, occasionally my dad would take a day off of work. And he would always take us kids on what he called a no-money fun day. No-money fun day. Basically, his goal was to see how many different things around Muscatine he could have us do and he could take us to without him having to open his wallet. And so we frequented all of the many tourist attractions over there in Muscatine. The Muscatine Art Center, the Pearl Button Museum, the Mark Twain Overlook, all of those. We would go a couple times a year with my dad on these no-money fun days. By the age of 6, I learned a couple things about my dad that remain true today. The first thing is that he's incredibly cheap. But the second thing, and this is far more important, is that for him, it's the time spent with people that's the most valuable. That the most important thing isn't how great of a gift I could buy somebody, how extravagant of a vacation I could take somebody on, but rather the gift of me being with them. And I believe this is exactly what Jesus in our gospel today is inviting us into, as we have this great image for how the Lord wants us to relate to him. We have the very famous story of Martha and Mary. And most of us probably can sympathize with Martha, who's doing all of the work, and Mary's just sitting seemingly idly by. In our efficiency-obsessed culture, in our society that treats busyness as a virtue, Martha seems to be the real saint here. But Jesus has a completely different view. Because it's Mary who has chosen, according to Jesus, the better part, the better way. In fact, the way that God wants us to relate to him is not that we do anything for him, firstly. No, God doesn't need you, firstly, to do a single thing for him. He's God. What he wants for us is that we be with him. That we be with him. There are so many ways in which we can view our lives as an opportunity of, I'm going to do something really great for God. I'm going to do all of these acts of service, and I'm going to do all of these things, and all of that is wonderful to live for God. But far more important to him is not that we live for him, it's that we live from him. That we live from him. And that's precisely what Mary is doing today when she is sitting there at Jesus' feet. She's simply being with. We all know how active we can become, how many different things we can do, all of the many things we can throw ourselves into. Jesus today is reminding us that God did not create us to be human doings. He created us to be human beings. And that at the end of the day, the thing that will make us get to heaven is not all of the things that we did to earn it. It will be that I have come to know and love God. And how do I come to know and love God? Through those ways in which I simply seek to be with him. To be with him. And so Mary, in her sitting at Jesus' feet, is a model for all of our discipleships of Jesus. She shows us what it means to be a follower of Jesus, that it begins in prayer. It begins in this conscious willingness and act of not doing something for God, but living from God. You know that I recently entered into the position for the diocese as the director of vocations. And so I've been able to continue something that I've been able to do the last few years of sitting with young people who are asking that really important question. What is it that God is calling me to do with my life? And when I begin speaking with them and hearing their story, I always try and startle them by telling them this. I say your vocation, whatever it is that God is calling you to, your vocation is not going to make you happy. It's not going to make you happy. Being with Jesus is what is going to make you happy. That's what, no matter what you do in life, you were made for. That each and every one of us was made to be in a relationship with God. And so what is the way? What is the way that we can be with the Lord? Again, it's prayer. It's prayer. And I don't mean just saying our prayers. I mean praying in the form of having a conversation with God. And there's just two steps to this kind of relational prayer I want to share with you tonight. Because I'm pretty sure in such a chaotic and busy and frenzied world as our own, the thing that we need the most is to develop some sort of contemplative spirit, some sort of prayer life. And so the first step, the first is to acknowledge that I sit and in the quiet I acknowledge what is happening inside of me right now. What are my thoughts, my feelings, my desires? What is all of the activity happening in my mind? What is it that I'm bringing into my time of prayer right now? The first step to having a real conversation with God is to simply acknowledge what's happening up here. And the second step is to turn this monologue into a dialogue with the Lord. I know I've posed this question before, but I'll say it again tonight, and I'll say it again some future time. But if God only knew that which you told him, how much of your life would he know about? If God only knew that which you told him about, how much of your life would he know about? This is the great opportunity of prayer. It's our way of being with the Lord, inviting him into whatever it is that's happening inside my life right now. And it's in that time of prayer where all of the anxieties, all of the worries, all of the many happenings and doings around me and inside of my life start to be focused on the one most important thing according to Jesus, himself. I had a friend, well, I have a friend, who grew up on a farm in North Dakota, and he shared this story about his years growing up. When he was 10 years old, his dad gifted him with a pale calf. A pale calf. That's a calf that you wean off of its mother so that you can milk the mom and sell that milk. And so my friend, this pale calf was going to be his own. And so it was his to take care of. It was his to raise to adulthood so that then one day he could sell it for some money. Well, he was taking care of the pale calf on his own when it started to act kind of funny. It would no longer take its bottle, and yet he was force-feeding it, and nothing was going right. Something was really off with the pale calf. Well, a few days on, and his pale calf died. And so he's distraught. He had a lot invested into this thing. It was going to be a source of some income down the road. And so he goes to his dad, and he's bawling his eyes out, and he just says, "Dad, I did the best I could. Did the best I could." And his dad just looked at him and said, "No, the best you could have done was to come to me and ask me for help. The best you could have done is to come to me and ask me for help. Here's my friend doing all of this stuff on his own, and it's not working." What was he needing to do? What was the most important part for him to do there? It was to come to his father and seek his help, to invite him into that place. But now, my friend's dad got him another pale calf, and then that one died too, but that's a completely different homily about disappointment. But the story still rings true. We have to invite the Lord in to those places of our life where so often we feel dependent on our own, so that we can go from being human doings for God to being humans that are seeking to being with the Lord. May this Mass be an opportunity for each one of us, wherever we're at, whatever anxieties and worries we experience this week or the ones that lay ahead in this upcoming week. May this be the time where we put the Lord first, where we sit at his feet and ask him to be with us.